7 undefeated teams remain in college football, and Week 11 is guaranteed to eliminate 2 more. Penn State's trip to Minnesota highlights the early window, but most college football fans will be fixated on the late afternoon showdown in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Top-ranked LSU heads to number 2 Alabama in the eyes of the AP in a battle and game of the century to determine the SEC West frontrunner and likely the college football playoff favorite. Other than that, no pressure. Hello, friends, and welcome to Week 11 of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. I am your host, Anthony Florio. I am joined, as always, by good old MF Michael Fletcher. Maybe awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. We don't know. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then hopefully we'll see him tomorrow night for the Friday night Cerebral Smack Talk with MF over on MF's channel, Braves Fan 95. 2 huge games here, a double main event. We have some other great matchups as well. But without any further ado, let's get it started. Week 11. No games tonight with top 25, that is. And no games tomorrow, so we're just going to get right into the Saturday slate. It's all Saturday games for this week. And the rankings are going to be by the college football playoff rankings that came out this past Tuesday. So if I get it wrong in the eyes of the AP, I apologize, but this is how we do it, and this is how we're going to do it going forward until the end of the season. So without any further ado, let's start it off. The first of 5 high noon games, and we started off with a game that we will see on Fox. The now number 1 team in the land, in the eyes of the College Football Playoff Committee, the Ohio State Buckeyes, number 1 in the land. They're going to be hosting the Maryland Terrapins, Ohio Stadium, Columbus, Ohio, the Horseshoe. Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, Jenny Taft will be on hand for that one. And Ohio State opening up, according to my list here, Ohio State is opening up as a 44-point favorite. That's right, 44. So there's nothing really to say. Maryland held Michigan to 331 offensive yards, but still managed to lose by 31 points. Ohio State has not allowed more than 10 points in 7 straight games. You do the math. Ohio State, easy win, 48-10. Really nothing more to say. MF, Ohio State, number 1 in the eyes of the College Football Playoff Committee.
And the way that they've been doing it, I'm not surprised that they are number 1. I think it was just, unbelievable what they've done. The way that they've been playing the game is just incredible. And, they've dominated everybody up to this point. But then again, there's a little bit of some debate about, have they really been tested? We'll get to see them against Penn State very soon. We'll find out what they're really made of. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go with Ohio State for now. I think they'll win this game, no doubt about it. And there's really nothing more to say. So, Anthony, Anthony, back to you.
And MF, you keep your mic on. You lead off on this one. And ladies and gentlemen, it is the first half of our double main event. Get ready. High noon over on ABC. The number 4 Penn State Nittany Lions squaring off against the number 17 Minnesota Golden Gophers, TCF Bank Stadium at the University of Minnesota. Sean McDonough, Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe, they get this one. Lucky them. And the spread favors Penn State by only 6.5. It's a 6.5-point spread for Penn State. They're the favorites. MF, first half of our big double main event. Penn State made the cut for the first week. But oh boy, if they're going to stay there for at least another week, it is by God not going to be easy.
Not going to be easy, no doubt about it. Minnesota, a pleasant surprise. Nobody saw Minnesota do what they've been doing. But then again, the thing is with Minnesota, and I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to say it. who have you beaten lately? Yes, they've been dominant. Yes, they've been playing great. But, I mean, some of the games that they've been going up against, San Diego State, Fresno, Georgia Southern, Purdue, Illinois, Nebraska, Rutgers. I mean, I'm sorry, not anything special. This is one of those games where this is put up or shut up. If you're Minnesota, you got some people doubting you. You got people saying, yes, you're doing great, but who have you beaten? If you knock off Penn State, you shut us all up. Then we take you seriously. Then we take you legitimate. Then we're like, okay, now you're in a conversation. Now we can take you seriously. To go up against a really good Penn State team that's up to this point 8-0, won the game, and they've done their business. They've beaten Michigan. That was a close game, but they won. They went up against Michigan State, went into East Lansing, and beat them pretty handily 28-7. So we don't got that seed of doubt when it comes to Penn State. Like, I have the seed of doubt against Minnesota. I'm going with Penn State. They're war-tested. They've already gone through the grind. They already went through the two best teams in the Big Ten right now with Michigan State and Michigan. And plus, on top of that, there's a battle right down the line where they got to go against Ohio State. If they still match up and if they keep winning and if Ohio State is still undefeated and Penn State's still undefeated and they face each other on that Saturday, November 23rd in East Lansing, we're talking Game of the Century Part 2. Another Game of the Century, the second time this year, we might have a Game of the Century. So I'm going to go with Penn State to win. I think they're battle-tested. I think they'll have enough to beat Minnesota. Anthony, I give it to you.
First of two games tonight, I am going to go Chris Fowler mode here. So you just got the Herbie. Now here comes the Fowler right now. A pair of undefeated conference foes face off in what would easily be the game if it weren't for that Game of the Century in Tuscaloosa. The Gophers enter this game having outscored their last four opponents, Illinois, Nebraska, Rutgers, and Maryland, by a combined score of 170-41. Penn State hasn't been as dominant on the scoreboard, but the Nittany Lions have the advantage of knowing how to win grinded-out games against Iowa and Michigan. Penn State has the nation's second-best rushing defense, 68.4 yards allowed a game, and a pair of defensive ends in Shaka Toney and Yatir Gross-Matos, who have 5.5 sacks apiece. If Minnesota running backs Mohamed Ibrahim and Rodney Smith, who have a combined 1,196 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns, have trouble piercing the Nittany Lions front seven, then the Gophers could be in trouble. Sean Clifford turns in an efficient outing to lead Penn State to 9-0 on the season. And since a scare-filled opening to the season, Minnesota has outscored its last opponents, well, the 170-41, we all know that. Though the competition level wasn't high, that's a dominant stretch. But MF and I, we're still leaning toward Penn State because of a defense that allows fewer than 4 yards a snap. But Minnesota's aerial efficiency gives the Gophers a shot. I'm going with Penn State as well. I agree with you, MF. Final score for me, I'm going to go 27-24. Penn State narrowly escapes Minnesota. Don't sleep on them. Don't sleep on them. So that's all there is to say on that. Let's move on. High noon over on ESPN. We have the number 10 Florida Gators at home at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in Gainesville. They're going to be hosting the Commodores of Vanderbilt. High noon over on ESPN, and on the call for that one, it'll be Bob Wischusen, Dan Orlovsky, and Allison Williams. And the spread favors Florida by 26.5. 26.5 point spread for the Gators in this one. So Vanderbilt followed up a surprise win over Missouri with a 24-7 letdown at South Carolina. Florida allowed 12 third down conversions and 18 tries in a loss to Georgia, but that's unlikely to happen again. Vandy ranks 128th nationally in third down rate. Florida is steaming after that loss, and they're going to take it out on the team that I still consider to be one of the doormats of the SEC. I think they're the number 2 doormat. The real doormat is Arkansas, but that's a story for another day. Florida all the way, 38-13. Nothing more to say, MF. This is a great opportunity for Florida to really let off that steam after that humiliating loss to Georgia.
Oh man, you're not kidding. You want to talk about a team that is fighting mad. I mean, they let one get away. That's the thing that you got to feel like. If you're Florida, you let this one get away. You had a shot. You had an equally good shot to beat Georgia, and you let this one slip by the boards. And basically, your dream of possibly making the college football playoff is I just don't see it. There's gonna have to be a miracle to sneak into the top 4. But even with 2 losses, you got an outside shot at a New Year's 6 to be an at-large for the New Year's 6. So, I mean, that's very possible. You're in the plausible area. It's just a tough hole. But, you're going up against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's not that great. I think you guys should handle your business, win the game. Nothing more to say, Florio. Next game.
And MF, you started off. It's another high noon over on FS1. We have the number 12 Baylor Bears squaring off against the TCU Horned Frogs. Amon G. Carter Stadium in Fort Worth over on FS1. And on that call, it'll be Brian Custer and Robert Smith. And bear with me here. The spread favors Baylor, but only by 2.5. So MF, I mean, can Baylor keep this magical run going in this trap game against TCU?
And that is exactly what it is. The number 12 Baylor is undefeated and on top of the Big 12 standings, but can't afford to rest on their laurels as it prepares to square off against rival TCU on the road in Fort Worth on Saturday. The contest is the first daunting 4-game stretch for the Bears that will also face off with Oklahoma, Texas at home, and has to go on the road against Kansas. Baylor coach Matt Rhule is working hard to keep his players on track, playing on the right track and away from the hype right now that their program is on the national radar. The Bears have been moving up the top 25 since entering it on October 6th. It's uncharted territory for our team, he says. So I got to keep going and saying my way is not to pay attention to any of that hype. It's just what we got to focus on this week and on us. We have a lot of older guys on the team that's doing that. And thankfully we are playing TCU because that the team is our players know. This marks the 3rd time that Baylor won 8 games in the season. First time since 2015 when they went 10-3 and ranked number 13 in the nation back in 2015. The Baylor's all-time best start was in 2013 when they won the first 9 contests, was ranked 3rd in the nation, eventually losing to Oklahoma State and losing the Big 12 championship title when they were 11-2. Those are fun to hear, but quickly way to get rid of all that is to focus on what you're doing, Rhule says. So we have to improve, thankfully, and we got a lot of things to improve on. Of course, there was that Halloween night scare when they almost lost to West Virginia, but did win the game. Final score was 17-14. And in the past, the Horned Frogs lost to TCU in their last game, which was a 34 TCU loss 34-27 to Oklahoma State, where they allowed 233 yards rushing to Chaba Hubbard, which was the nation's leader in rushing. Now this is their opportunity. Plus, they're coming off 4 turnovers as well. Upset alert maybe, but freshman quarterback Matt Duggan injured his throwing hand in the final moments of the game, but Patterson did not give any update on his status on the Monday press conference. I don't know what the deal is. Even if he did, I can't even talk about it. Backup quarterback Michael Collins took a hard shot into Horned Frogs' last offensive play and was in the trainer's room afterwards. And adding to the problem is fifth-year senior Alex Dalton left the program as well. So the Horned Frogs has a challenging situation, but their defense will be a challenge for Baylor, because they lead the nation in total defense, only allowing 324 yards and allowing 26.1 points per game. So you want to talk about maybe the defense might be the saving grace for TCU, because it doesn't look like offensively they might do much, but if the defense keeps it close, maybe we get an upset. I got to go with Baylor in this situation. I got Baylor winning very close, 27-24. Anthony, I give it to you.
Wow, very well done there, MF. Baylor sidestepped West Virginia in Week 10, squeaking out a 17-14 win. That would be more concerning if TCU hadn't allowed 459 yards in a loss at Oklahoma State, with quarterbacks Max Duggan and Mike Collins both ending the game injured. The upset bid looked appealing 2 weeks ago, but not so much anymore. Baylor survived its first game as the lone unbeaten Big 12 team, but it will need to be better after a subpar 17-14 win over West Virginia. The Horned Frogs have won 4 straight games in this series since losing 61-58 in 2014, and they are the first major hurdle for the Bears' unbeaten streak. The Bears have allowed 18.5 points a game this season, tops in the Big 12. That includes 21 points a game in conference play. Impressive, considering the league's usual offensive proficiency. The Bears can win this if they play to their strengths, but they can't get caught looking ahead to Oklahoma next week. 31-27 Baylor over TCU. Now on to our final high noon game. And here's another team that's going to be literally hopping mad after a humiliating loss. The now number 25 SMU Mustangs back at home at Gerald J. Ford Stadium. They're going to be hosting the Pirates of East Carolina. This game will be over on ESPN University with Mike Cousins and Kirk Morrison. They will have this one, and SMU opening up as a 21.5 point favorite. So it's SMU. I mean, here's the thing. When the Pirates traveled to UCF in mid-October, the Knights racked up 414 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air. SMU is absolutely capable of putting up similar numbers, especially if Reggie Roberson is available after missing the loss at Memphis. Big bounce back for SMU, 48-28. SMU bounces back after that demoralizing loss to Memphis in that insane shootout last Saturday night. So MF, the AAC, a national network finally showed them some love, and
they delivered. They delivered, and it was a great game, no doubt about it. I thought I couldn't believe SMU and Memphis, and they were putting up Madden-like numbers. That's only what you see on Madden. So it was a great game, enjoyable to watch, and I hope we get to see the little guy get a little more of an opportunity down the line. Let's say that. But I'm going to go with SMU. SMU should bounce back. They should win the game. No doubt about it. I got nothing more to say. Anthony, it's time. There's nothing bigger. The main event. The game of the century. Let's go.
And you get to start it off. Oh, lucky you. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, now I understand that the College Football Playoff Committee has these two teams ranked at number 2 and number 3, respectively. But in the eyes of the AP, this is the game of the century. I don't give a damn what anybody says. But we got to go by the ranking system. The number 2 LSU Tigers, the number 3 Alabama Crimson Tide, Bryant-Denny Stadium, Tuscaloosa, 3:30, SEC on CBS. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Jamie Erdahl, they have it, and there's an NA. I don't see a spread for this one. I think I know why. It's got to be a pick'em here, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is.
It is a pick'em. It is a pick. No.
Alabama 6.5. Yep. I got it. Alabama is a 6.5 point favorite. So we only know one question. The $1 million question in this one: will Tua Tagovailoa play?
Yes,
that's the big question. But MF, I got to do my usual Jesse the Body Ventura shtick on this one. This is the main event.
Oh, yeah.
This is what the words main event were meant for. Because this is the main event. And, brother, it don't get no bigger.
LSU will be without a key defender, but Alabama could have quarterback Tua Tagovailoa ready for the SEC, for the two SEC powers to clash in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. The game was billed as the game of the century until the initial college football playoff rankings came out, where it slotted LSU 2 and Alabama 3 behind Ohio State. But, Anthony, you said it. The AP and the coaches poll has this as LSU 1, Alabama 2. The winner, Saturday, will have a huge leg up on the SEC Western Division and will likely clinch a ticket into the college football playoff. The loser won't necessarily be out of the picture, but will need significant help to get there. The game has drawn so much hype since the teams made it through October unbeaten that Alabama officials are preparing Bryant-Denny Stadium for a possible visit by the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Nick Saban, who once drawn a dinner invitation from George W. Bush because he didn't want to leave the Miami Dolphins training camp, turned him down and wants his team to be kept level-headed approach of this big game. The big thing you want the players to do is not to get involved in the hype surrounding the game or think about the implications of the game, he says. The Tigers lost linebacker Michael Devaney Jr. early this week after the senior announced that he was leaving the team for personal reasons. He had 23 tackles on the season and led the teams with 3 sacks. Junior Andre Anthony, 9 tackles and 1 sack, and Ray Thornton, 3 tackles with no sacks, will fill the spot. We are fine. Tigers head coach Ed Orgeron said. As for Alabama, Saban said that Tua Tagovailoa's availability will be a game-time decision. Of course, he suffered an ankle injury against Tennessee and did not play against Arkansas. And the Crimson Tide is 8-0 and 5-0 in the SEC and had an open week last week. He practiced 2 days last week. Orgeron has no doubt. Sure, if he was asked if he expects him to play. Tagovailoa has completed 74.7% of his passes, 309 yards, and 27 touchdowns against 2 INTs. Working with a talented receiving core, he and Joe Burrow, 78% completion percentage, 350 yards passing with 30 touchdowns and 4 INTs are a big reason why this meeting is expected to be much different from the last time they met in 2011. As everybody knows, LSU won that day, 9-6 in a field goal, which stands that with Alabama leading the all-time series 53, 25, and 5. Both teams comes with drastic offensive approaches since then. We have become more of a spread team. We've become more of a spread team, Saban said. We're done it for years now. This is the first time we really sort of open it up and pay dividends from them in a big way, which is certainly features skilled players and their big quarterback. We made big threat receivers have made a difference for both teams. Of course, for Alabama, that's Jerry Jeudy, 52 catches for 682 yards and 8 touchdowns, and representing Devontae Smith, 43 catches, 721 yards with 9 scores, and Harry Riggs III, 26 catches for 513 yards and 6 touchdowns. But for LSU, they got a power 3. As they got Justin Jefferson, 55 catches for 891 yards and 9 touchdowns. Jamar Chase, 43 catches for 749 yards and 9 touchdowns. And Terrence Marshall Jr., 22 catches for 333 yards and 7 touchdowns. This is why this is the game of the century. When you got powerful offenses, really good defenses, and this is with all the hype, all the excitement, this is why it's the main event of the week. And when it's all said and done, it really depends on what happens. If Tua plays, Bama wins. If he doesn't play, I'm going with Joe Burrow and LSU to knock off Alabama in Tuscaloosa. This is very difficult to call, so I'm going to do it 2 ways. I'm going to do a push, but if Bama has Tua, they win 31-27. If Tua does not play, then I'm going to go LSU 28-20 to win. So it's a push for me, but and it all hinges on Tua Tagovailoa. If Tua plays, Bama wins. If he doesn't play, then it goes the other way, and I got LSU knocking off Alabama. So it very much hinges on Tua Tagovailoa and if he plays on Saturday. And this is truly going to be a great game, Anthony. Nothing more to say.
Well, we're going to catch Michael Bullock up first before I get into my thoughts, and then we're going to have Bullock share his thoughts on the game of the century. So, Michael Bullock, come on in. Let's get you caught up here. We have number 1, Ohio State at home against Maryland.
Oh, that's easy. Ohio State all the way, because I did see the spread, and it's a pretty big one.
44. Number 4, Penn State. Number 17, Minnesota, the first half of our double main event.
It's a tough one. I mean, this is a big one, and obviously Minnesota needs to prove that they're right there in that in the spot, hopefully to get a spot in the Big Ten title game. But I got Penn State winning this one. I think they're just too good of a team.
Number 10, Florida at home against Vanderbilt.
I got the Florida Gators winning this one.
Number 12, Baylor against TCU.
Oh, I got Baylor winning this one.
Number 25, SMU at home against East Carolina.
I got SMU winning this.
And now let's get your thoughts on the game of the century, LSU and Alabama. MF just had his thoughts. What says you?
All I can say is, I mean, it's been talked about it. I mean, it's a big game. I mean, both these teams are right now, if the season were to end in the college football playoff, I mean, this game is going to prove what LSU is made of. I mean, who knows what the status of Tua Tagovailoa is, if he's going to be able to play in this one. But if he does play, guys, I mean, I would say Alabama wins this one. So, this is not easy. I mean, for LSU, they want to prove that they are for real and that they deserve to be in the college football playoff and that it's their time. But for Alabama, they want to prove why they are still the most dominant team in the SEC. You know what? After giving it all that thought, if this game was in at LSU, I'd say LSU wins this one. But because this is in Alabama, and you never know what Nick Saban's going to be throwing at LSU, I'm going to go with the Alabama Crimson Tide to win this one. I think this is going to be a really close one. And you know what? I'm going to say the final score. It's going to be Alabama 27 and LSU 20 in overtime. Florio, it's yours.
Wow. Okay. The game of the week also happens to be the game of the century. Don't expect it to be as low scoring as the last time the Tigers and Tide met as the top two teams in the country. A 9-6 win for number one LSU and Bryant Denny in 2011. Alabama's 8-game win streak in this series hinges on whether Alabama's Tua Tagovailoa can play, and assuming he does, if he will be at 100%. Regardless of who starts at quarterback, receivers Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs, and Jalen Waddle will have to make plays against a secondary that includes Derek Stingley Jr. and Grant Delpit, but will be without linebacker Michael Divinity. Joe Burrow and his receiving tandem of Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase should have no problem making plays against the young Alabama defense that has been subject to several blown assignments in the second level this year. Even so, Burrow will need to be mindful of Patrick Surtain Jr. and Trayvon Diggs, who have been impressive this season in Alabama's secondary. It will be close, but it's hard to pick Alabama coming off a bye week in what should be an amazing atmosphere in Tuscaloosa. Let's make this simple. Is Tua Tagovailoa playing? If yes, and it seems that way, the answer is Alabama. If no, then give us LSU. That shouldn't take anyone by surprise. Texas and Florida both succeeded against this secondary, and Alabama's top targets are even more talented. But if Tagovailoa is absent, LSU should be able to overwhelm Mac Jones in what would be his second career start. So I think Tua will play, and because of that, I'm going with Alabama to win. High scoring, 5-star Shakespearean drama classic, 38-35. Give me Bama over LSU. That's if Tua plays. If it's the other way, then it's LSU 34-31. So that's all there is to say on that. Make no mistake about it. This is going to be a 5-star Shakespearean drama classic if there ever was one. So game of the year up until this point. Let's try to pick it up a little bit, guys. We still got a little ways to go here. So not too much detail now. We have next up 3:30 on ESPN, the number 16 Kansas State Wildcats squaring off against the Texas Longhorns at Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium in Austin. And it's on ESPN. And on that call will be Dave Patch, Greg McElroy, and Tom Luginbill. And the spread favors, I believe it actually favors Texas, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Texas. Texas is opening up as a 6.5-point favorite. So, Bullock, let's start it with you. Kansas State and Texas. Try to pick it up a little bit. Not too much detail now.
Yeah, it's a little surprising that that Texas is the favorite, but maybe the experts don't think Kansas State. I mean, they can't beat Texas, but who knows? I think they can go in and possibly beat Texas. I think this could be a close one, no doubt. I got Kansas State winning this one. I'm going to go I'm going to go 30-23 is going to be my final score. So, Florio, it's yours.
Yes. Texas would love nothing more than to get back on track with a win over ranked Kansas State after a 37-27 loss to TCU, against whom Sam Ehlinger threw more interceptions for than touchdowns to. Kansas State, meanwhile, took care of business against rival Kansas, walloping the Jayhawks 38-10 in Lawrence. Wildcats coach Chris Kleeman has this team playing with great energy, but Tom Herman should have no issue motivating his team to show up in a big way after their last embarrassment. The Longhorns used the sting of their last loss and the bye week to score a big win. And quite frankly, I know perhaps an off weekend did the Longhorns some good. They surrendered 697 yards and 5 TDs on the ground in 3 outings before the bye. Kansas State, meanwhile, has pounded Oklahoma and Kansas for 555 yards and 11 scores over the last 2 weekends. As much as I've been impressed with K-State, I just got to go with Texas in this one. It's in Texas. If this was in K-State, then I'd have K-State all day. But I'm going with Texas to win this one. I'm calling for the upset. 35-27, Texas wins. MF, who do you agree with?
Agreed. I'm gonna go with Texas. I'm not jumping off the bandwagon, folks. There's no way I'm jumping off this bandwagon. So I love what they've been bringing to the table. You know, I'm very high on Texas. I'm not deserting them at all. Not yet. Not at all. So Florio, go.
Okay. 3:30 kickoff over on the ACC network. The number 19 Wake Forest Demon Deacons squaring off against the Virginia Tech Hokies at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, Virginia. ACC network will have this one. And on that call will be Chris Cotter with Mark Herzlich and Kelsey Riggs. And the spread favors Wake Forest by only 2.5. So here we go. Wake Forest plays number 4 Clemson the week after its trip to Virginia, but don't expect the Demon Deacons to get caught looking ahead, especially against a Virginia Tech team that nearly scored a major upset against Notre Dame last week. Dave Clawson's offense averages 510.6 yards and 38 points a game, which suggests they can take advantage of a Hokies defense that gives up more than 400 yards a game. That said, quarterback Jamie Newman, 2,059 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, must be careful considering Tech notched 3 turnovers against the Fighting Irish. So, in my hindsight, I'm definitely leaning towards Wake in this one. But playing on the road against a competent team on the Saturday before playing a top 5 team, it is a trap game for Wake Forest. But the Hokies near upset at Notre Dame should keep Wake's attention soundly on this ACC clash. Virginia Tech's susceptible secondary should allow the Deeks to navigate the trip to Blacksburg. So I'm going with Wake Forest to win this one. I'm going to go 34-27. 34-27, Wake Forest over Virginia Tech. MF, Wake Forest, they should not look past Va Tech. I mean, look what Va Tech did. They almost stole one in Notre Dame last Saturday.
They almost did, yeah. I mean, you want to talk about panic. Holy cow! Floyo, what were you thinking? Notre Dame almost got upended.
I would be lying. If I said my face was not as white as Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yeah, I would. And quite frankly,
sweating, damn near heart attack. I was like that Raven fan, that nutty Raven fan against the Broncos years ago.
Yeah. All right. No problem, man. I would have been like, yeah, I would have been feeling the same way. All right. So at least you were honest about it. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna say the same thing here. I'm gonna go with Va Tech. I think they just have something there that's that might, we'll see what happens. So Va Tech, Bullock, go.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go with Wake Forest in this one. But I'll tell you this, guys, they better not take Virginia Tech lightly, because if they do take them lightly, they might be able to do what they almost did to Notre Dame last week. So I'm going to go with the Wake Forest for now, but I would not be shocked if Virginia Tech does pull off the upset. So, Florio, let's move on.
Our final 3:30 game of the week, the number 20 Cincinnati Bearcats at home at Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati. They're going to be hosting the UConn Huskies on the CBS Sports Network with Rich Waltz and Aaron Murray. They will have that one. Cincinnati opening up as a 35.5-point favorite. MF, I think we all know how this one's going to go. MF, are you there?
Sorry, no. Relax. Everybody chill. Just forgot to unmute my mic. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm kind of caught up in this actual football on the NFL right now. Crazy situation going down. All right. So what was the game again? Cincinnati and UConn. Oh, forget it. Cincinnati wins. But no need to talk about it. Bullock, go.
Yeah, all Cincinnati all day. I'm not going to get into any further detail on it. Florio, go.
Yes, after a 56-point explosion at UMass in the preceding game, UConn returned to earth in a 56-10 loss to Navy. Cincinnati survived a scare at East Carolina, and a porous secondary is a reason for concern. But with no more than 24 points in any other game, UConn can't be trusted to capitalize on any slim opportunity. Cincinnati rolls 45-17. Nothing more to say. Let's move on. 4 o'clock on Fox. Our number 3 game of the week right here. The number 13 Wisconsin Badgers back at home at Camp Randall Stadium in Madison. They're going to be hosting the number 18 Iowa Hawkeyes. And on the call for that one, it will be Tim Brando with Spencer Tillman and Coley Harvey. And the spread favors Wisconsin. I believe it's a 9-point spread for the Badgers. 8.5. It's between 8.5 and 9 for Wisconsin against Iowa. So Michael Bullock, our number 3 game of the week, Iowa and Wisconsin jockeying for position in the Big Ten as far as Bulls are concerned.
Oh yes, they're definitely jockeying for position in the Big Ten when it comes to getting in there for a bowl game. But yeah, I mean, going into Camp Randall Stadium is not easy. So yeah, I mean So I mean, for Iowa, I mean, for them to pull off the upset is that they just gotta do their job and slow down this Wisconsin team. And I mean, they will make it close. They will definitely make a game of it throughout the whole way. But if this game was in Iowa, I would call for the upset and go with Iowa. But because this is at Camp Randall, I'm going to go with the Wisconsin Badgers to win this one. So I've got nothing more to say. So Florio, it is yours.
Wisconsin is out of the playoff race, but it's not out of the running for the Big Ten West Championship yet. That must start with a win over an Iowa team that has been impressive defensively all season, giving up 11.5 points a game in Big Ten play. That includes an impressive 87.8 rushing yards allowed a game. That's the challenge for Jonathan Taylor, 1,009 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns, and quarterback Jack Cohn, 1,491 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The Badgers must be able to win with Cohn, which to their credit they did against Michigan State. Coach Christ and company get back on track in typical Big Ten fashion. Yes, Wisconsin enters with a 2-game losing streak and struggled offensively at Ohio State. However, this is an enormous test for Iowa, which mustered only 15 total points in losses to Michigan and Penn State. Wisconsin has the clear advantage at home. So I'm going to go with Wisconsin to win this one. My final score, 20-17, Wisconsin over Iowa. MF is an MF special for you.
It is. No doubt about it. This is definitely an MF special, but I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna go with I'm going to go with Wisconsin. I think they're going to get the job done. I think they're going to win the game. I don't really think there's really nothing more to say. I mean, this is going to be a close game. It's going to be down to the wire, but I got Wisconsin eking out the victory, so nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
Yes, indeed. And now we move on to the primetime games. 7 o'clock on ESPN, we have the number 6 Maiden Georgia Bulldogs back at home between the hedges of Sanford Stadium in Athens, hosting the Missouri Tigers. And on the call for that one, it will be Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Todd McShay, and Molly McGrath. And on the spread for this one, it is Georgia. Georgia is opening up, I believe it's a 16.5 spread here, 16.5 to 17 for the Maiden Georgia Bulldogs. So I believe I start this one off. So all right, Missouri and Georgia. I'm definitely leaning towards Georgia here. I mean, after what we saw them do against Florida last week, and Missouri didn't play last week, and Georgia is coming down off the emotional high of rivalry week and a rivalry win. It's totally foreseeable that the Bulldogs start slowly while a motivated Missouri team gets a quick score. However, UGA's defense has been stingy all season, and the visiting Tigers mustered just 21 points in their last 2 games. Georgia pulls away late. 31-17, Georgia. Maiden Georgia Bulldogs over Missouri. Nothing more to say. MF, your thoughts? Can Georgia keep that momentum going after that big Gators?
I say yes. I think Georgia will, and I do believe that they need to say the very least. I really got nothing more to add here. I'm gonna go with the Maiden Georgia Bulldogs to win it, and Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I'm going with the Maiden Georgia Bulldogs. Well, I think they'll. I mean, it'll be close at the beginning, but I definitely think Georgia's definitely going to pull away at the end and really make it from a close game to a blowout. So nothing more to say. Let's move on, Florio.
And MF will be leading off on our next matchup, which is the ABC Saturday night game of the week. The number 5 Clemson Tigers squaring off against the North Carolina State Wolfpack at Wayne Day Family Field at Carter Finley Stadium. You know who's working this one, of course. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Maria Taylor. They will be at NC State for this one. And Clemson opening up as a 31.5-point favorite. MF, up until the last 2 games, Clemson was on the so-so side, but the last couple of weeks, man, they're back.
They're back, and they're better than ever. Yeah, no doubt about it in my mind. I'm gonna go with the Clemson Tigers. I think that they're gonna get the job done. There's really nothing more for me to add here. So, Florio, it's yours. I mean, Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, Clemson is definitely back after the way they played lately, and right now I would not want to be any team in the ACC or any other team in the country right now to be playing this Clemson team with the way they've been playing as of late, getting back to what they were, and I'll tell you what, they need some things to go their way if they want to get back in that college football playoff, because right now, if the season were to end, they are on the outside looking in on the college football playoff. So I expect them to get there. So I'm not worried about this Clemson team. So I got Clemson winning this one in a rout. Florio, it's yours.
North Carolina State has surrendered at least 272 passing yards in 5 of its last 6 games. And the outlier is when Boston College had 103 because it ran for 429. Clemson has racked up 550 plus total yards on 4 straight weekends. This one is simple. Clemson in a rout, 45-10. So let's move on. 3 games left. 7:30 kickoff on the ACC network. The number 15 Notre Dame Fighting Irish squaring off against the Duke Blue Devils at Brooks Field at Wallace Wade Stadium in Durham. ACC Network has this one, and it's their A team on the call for this one. Dave O'Brien, Tim Hasselbeck, and the lovely Katie George, and Notre Dame. Notre Dame opening up as the favorite in this one, and rightfully so. 8-point favorite for Notre Dame. So I think it's Bullock who starts this one off. Am I right? Oh yeah, because MF started the last one. Yes.
On the last game.
Yeah. So it is Bullock. So all right, Bullock. Notre Dame surviving a major scare against Virginia Tech last week at home. Now they're on the road against the Dukies. What happens this week?
I'll tell you what, Florio. This team, I think, got a wake-up call, and they got pretty lucky to survive this one, but they know that if they have any chance of getting into a New Year's Six, they need to finish strong the rest of the way. And I think last week, I think this was a wake-up call for them, and I would not want to be the Duke Blue Devils in this one. So I got the Fighting Irish winning this one in a rout. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, definitely Notre Dame here. The Fighting Irish narrowly avoided disaster in a 21-20 comeback win over Virginia Tech. Now they face a Blue Devils team coming off consecutive losses in which it couldn't score more than 17 points in either game. Quarterback Ian Book will have to be more careful with the ball after throwing 2 picks and losing a fumble against the Hokies. He should be able to do that against the Blue Devils defense that has given up an average of 206 passing yards a game and 13 passing touchdowns on the season. Neither team is in a good situation right now. Notre Dame has tight victories over USC and Virginia Tech, sandwiched around the under siege blowout loss at Michigan. Duke is 1-3 since the beginning of October. Duke's inefficient offense lately is the greatest concern. But Notre Dame shouldn't be expected to cruise in Durham, but I do expect them to pull away late. So I got Notre Dame winning this one, 35-20, Notre Dame over Duke. MF, what says you?
Notre Dame wins. Nothing more to say. Florio, go.
Okay. 2 games left. 8 o'clock on Fox. We have the number 9 Oklahoma Sooners at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium in Norman. They're going to be hosting the Iowa State Cyclones over on Fox. Joe Davis, Brock Heward, Bruce Feldman. They have the call for that one. And the spread favors Oklahoma by 13.5. So let's get into this one. The Sooners have had 2 weeks to stew over their shocking upset loss against Kansas State, so look for Lincoln Riley's squad to come out swinging for the fences. Oklahoma has gotten a tough game from the Cyclones the last 2 seasons, including a 38-31 loss in Norman in 2017. Iowa State has given up more than 27 points just once this season against Oklahoma State 2 weeks ago. The Sooners will be the second team to break that mark in a win. The Cyclones' 3 losses are by a combined 10 points, and they're among the top 25 or 30 defenses in preventing explosive plays. Those factors suggest a 4-quarter fight for Oklahoma, which has struggled on third down against decent competition. But if the Sooners don't need to sustain a bunch of drives, they should score enough to edge an efficient Iowa State offense. High-scoring game, but Boomer Sooner. I got Oklahoma just surviving this one. I'm going to go 42-34, Oklahoma over Iowa State. Will not be easy. So MF, Oklahoma, they've had a week to think about that humiliating loss to K-State. They're back at home, but Iowa State, have they given them fits over the last couple of years?
Yeah, they have. They have. So Oklahoma, you better be ready. You better be prepared. And definitely don't think for 1 second that this could be an upset. So, I mean, don't rest on your laurels. Stay what you got to do. Do what you have to handle your job. But I think Oklahoma will not screw this up. They shouldn't. Oklahoma will win it. I think they'll win the game. Nothing more to say. Mike Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa State has definitely given Oklahoma fits the last 2 seasons, and yeah, I think they're going to give them fits again, and this is going to be a high-scoring affair, and yeah, Oklahoma, I have no doubt will be able to bounce back after that upset loss to Kansas State, so I'm going to go 41-34 as my final score, so nothing more to say. Last game.
Last game of the night. A 10:15 kickoff over on ESPN. The number 22 Boise State Broncos back at home. Albertson Stadium in Boise. You know what that means. It's Smurf Turf time. And they're going to be hosting the Wyoming Cowboys. The Cowboys of Wyoming. ESPN has it. On the call, we'll have Roy Philpott, Kelly Stufer, and Lauren Sisler. Boise State opening up as a 12.5-point favorite. MF, we all know it's well documented. It's been well documented over these last several years how tough it is to win on that Smurf turf in Boise. Boise over Wyoming?
Boise over Wyoming, no doubt. I agree. Yes. Bullock, go.
Bullock?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Boise State to win this one. I mean, yeah, it is tough to play. I mean, against Boise State on that blue turf, the Smurf turf there. So yeah, it's not gonna be the night for Wyoming here. Boise State wins. Florio, wrap it up.
Boise's defense hasn't performed well recently, giving up 107 points in the last 3 games. Before that, the Broncos had allowed only 78 points in 5 games. However, they're still allowing only 3.7 yards per rushing attempt, and Wyoming is most effective when the ground attack is thriving. But nonetheless, I got Boise winning this one. Close game, closer than people think. Boise wins 24-17. And that, my friends, puts the bow on this edition of College Football Thursday, this Week 11 edition. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Let's bring in good old MF Michael Fletcher to set the table for another exciting edition of the Friday Night Cerebral Smack Talk. SmackDown Live and AEW, huh, MF?
Yes, it is. SmackDown Live, AEW. And I forgot to talk about the NWA Power. So I'm going to add that into the mix. So we're going to have a lot to cover, guys. And, so we're going to do it 10:30 Eastern, as always, tomorrow night. Nothing more to say. SmackDown, AEW, NWA. Dude, we got an unholy trinity we're going to be covering tomorrow night. Get ready. It's going to be fun. So 10:30 Eastern, Bullock, Florio, possibly Didi Woodson, hopefully. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Florio, take it home.
All right, we'll do MF. Tomorrow night, we'll be reviewing Friday Night SmackDown, Roman Reigns against King Corbin, New Day and the Revival for the tag team titles, and so much more. We're going to preview
don't forget, Florio, Sasha Banks against Nikki Cross.
Yes, Sasha Banks against Nikki Cross. That was just announced. Yes. And then from there, of course, we'll also be previewing the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view. And then MF will wrap it up with his Mikey's Mindset with the NWA Power. That's tomorrow night over on Brace Fay 95. Saturday night, same time, 10:30, we will have NFL Saturday Week 10 edition. Not too many exciting games, but we do have one. We do have a game of the century type game, if you will. Monday Night Football, the Seattle Seahawks against the San Francisco 49ers. Great way to cap off your Veterans Day. That's all I can say on that. So we'll get into that and some of the other big matchups as well in Week 10. That's Saturday, and then Monday, Ridiculously Raw. We'll review Monday Night Raw and my Tony's take on Impact Wrestling and 205 Live. And then from there, Wednesday Night Mayhem, AEW, Dynamite, NXT, maybe a Full Gear review. We'll see. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for Friday Night SmackDown, Cerebral Smack Talk with MF, it's Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Didi Woodson. And always and forever, Derek, forever. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up watching Force style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday. And until tomorrow night for the Friday Night Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching Week 11 of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who's been a part of this one for now, Anthony Floyo, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.